All right, we're live. So, everybody, welcome back to Yankton, South Dakota for the World Archery Junior World Championships. And this is going to be an awesome day because we've got the team rounds, and I'm joined by a special guest here. So, let everybody know who you are.
I'm Bryony Pittman, and I'm from Great Britain.
Perfect. Gonna be here watching your homeboys right here.
Yeah, looking forward to this match. They've shot against France before as cadets, and they're usually pretty close in their matches. They beat them last year at the European Championships as cadets, and so it should be a pretty close match today.
Yeah, this is always a great matchup. From the cadets all the way up to the senior ranks. This is always two countries that put together a good show for us. We can see here off the start we've got a one point match already with a 9 and 8. The weather today is certainly better than it was yesterday by a long shot.
Yeah, it was pretty nasty yesterday. Strong winds and a lot of rain all day, so this should be pretty calm and nice for them in comparison.
Yeah, absolutely. I think some people might kind of struggle a little bit at first to get their equipment dialed back in, and hopefully they've taken advantage of the practice time to get everything set up. We've got 3 9s here from France, you can see, and 2 8s and a 10 from GB, and another 10. And a phenomenal group in the 9 ring. It's always kind of a bummer when you have that kind of a group, but it's just out of the 10. And we've got questionable on that one. It's hard to tell from our camera angle, but how have you liked the conditions and the venue and pretty much everything about what you've experienced so far here for the first 5 days?
I think this has been one of the best organised competitions I've been to. Yeah, the hotel's nice, the food's really good. There's a lot of choice. The field is brilliant. One thing would be there's not a lot of shelter, so when it is windy, which it has been most of the week, it's pretty strong and nasty, and it's changing directions a lot as well.
Yeah, it's sometimes tough to, when you're looking at the flags, it's tough to really appreciate how much variance there is. Yesterday there was some good headwinds, and then it would be a crosswind, and then it would switch right in between, sometimes multiple times within the same end.
Yeah, and the flags on top of the targets are so small, they don't show an awful lot, and you can't see the strength of the wind because just a tiny little breeze will move it a lot.
Yep, for sure. Well, it's good to know that you've enjoyed the venue here. I know that Bruce Cole and all the organizers here at the Easton Foundation Center, and also with the NFA Archery Center, put in a lot of work, all the organizers getting this shoot together. And as always, we certainly don't mind feeding people big portions here in the States, huh?
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah, my first time in England, I kind of got my first meal and just looked at it like, okay, where's the rest of it? I didn't appreciate that the rest of the world serves normal size portions of food versus King Kong size portions.
Yeah,
so.
well, when we got here, our first breakfast, we were a bit surprised because we walk into the cafe at our hotel, and it was waffles and Fruit Loops and donuts, and it was just like, what do we have that's healthy?
Well, they did have eggs and sausage. You just had to look around the corner. But yeah, that's it's actually nice that you appreciate that, because most youngsters would that would be the perfect breakfast.
Yeah.
But it's nice that there's someone out that appreciates the fact that to be able to perform on a day or on a week like this, you really need to focus on feeding yourself correctly. A lot of people overlook that. A lot of competitors that I've been with over the years, they tend to kind of gorge themselves when they go out on the shoots, because they look at it as a time out.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you need to be able to get to bed at a normal time, be able to digest your food normally, and be able to get your rest. And a lot of times when you're eating foods that aren't common to what you're used to, then that gets hard to do. And it will affect your performance overall.
Yeah, I think that's one of the easy things for like our team coming here, is because the stuff here is so similar to what we'd have at home that it is easier to maintain it. But countries coming from like Asia, this is completely different to a lot of the things they'd have.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I know that there were times where I traveled to some countries where when I would get on the internet and kind of see what the normal daily food would be, I wasn't really knowing if it was something I was going to be used to or be okay with. So a lot of times I would pack kind of an emergency food source in my pack just so that I would be able to have something to eat if there was something there that wasn't agreeing with me. But that first end, we had some pretty good shots, but I didn't see the final. But I think that last arrow from Team GB probably kind of gave that match to France. So we're getting ready to kick off the second end here, and we don't yet have the scoreboards working. There's been a few technical difficulties with the weather and the rain and everything over the last few days, having to take everything down and put it back up. But start out right there with a great 10 from GB and a high 9 for France. They've got really good timing today. I think most of the archers out there are probably feeling so much better going through their shot sequence today versus how much they were fighting it yesterday.
Yeah, definitely, because the wind messes you up so much, and messes up your timing because you're having to come down, or you're just getting blown all over the place, so you can't actually take your time and aim. So
we've got a great match going here. Obviously, the first end, a little bit of nerves for everybody. They're a little bit worked up. Now they kind of got able to get some of that shaken off, and you can see some really nice shooting going on here. 3 10s and a 9 for GB, 2 10s, 2 9s for France. Kind of got a young Chris White look-alike right there. You know, Chris used to have a big fuzzy head like that. I've got a picture of him I hold for ransom every now and then. If he gets a little lippy with me, I'll show him that picture and let him know. I might have to take that out in public. But we had one high arrow there that could, man, that was great shooting. Got 4 10s, 2 9s from France, and we had great shooting from GB, but we had one get away. So this they've got a little bit of work here to make up now for these next ends. So what are you going to take away from this tournament? You said that yesterday you didn't quite have the outcome that you wanted, but
I think I've got to work a lot more on my mental game. Just learning to deal with the pressure, because I think a lot of pressure I put on myself, so it's not from external sources. So yeah, I've got to go home, work on that a bit more, and then I just need more practice in the wind, because although a lot of my competitions so far this year have been in the wind, I've not really learned to shoot in the wind properly, like aiming off or whether to adjust my sight or not, so I'm not consistent enough.
Do you not practice in the wind at home just based on your location? Because most everyone from GB shoots in the wind every day. So
yeah, I do get a lot of practice in the wind, but most of the time I seem to focus more on my technique rather than the actual like score or where the arrows are going.
Yep. That's a great way to do it. Definitely like the sounds of that. Well, most time, all the pressure that's applied is self-applied pressure. So it's good that you look at those things and write them down, and you know, a lot of people unfortunately come to these tournaments for the first time, and they spend so much time focusing on either getting their repetition in, or really focusing on tinkering with their equipment, and they tend to neglect getting their mindset the right way. And then what happens is when you come to an event like this, all of the emphasis that you've put on those other two aspects don't have near the importance of where your mind is once you get here. So, you know, it's important that people invest in balancing those three aspects of the game.
Yeah, definitely. Because especially when nerves kick in, probably more in matches than in qualification. I know, like, I shake a little bit when I'm trying to aim, and obviously that's then quite difficult in a in a target sport. So yeah, if other people are working more on their actual technique and their shooting rather than their mentality as they're going into competitions, they're going to struggle with pressure, and that's regardless of how good their technique is. That's where they're going to collapse.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's see what we got here. Still don't have a scoreboard up, so we're kind of a little bit in the dark with what the actual finals were, but I'm fairly certain those first two matches went to France. So if you had to pick one of these three guys to shoot in a guy-girl head-to-head match, who would you pick? You gonna upset anybody if you?
I don't know, actually. Maybe Patrick, I think.
Would it depend on the format?
Yeah.
Is one of them much better
I think
here at Outdoor Target versus, say, field or indoor?
Yeah, Patrick is really good at field. And he also, like, performing like this on a filmed match, he absolutely loves it. He loves, he loves being filmed, he loves being watched. And this kind of environment is where he'll shoot his best.
Yep.
But then for some of the other, like Brad will shoot really well, regardless of where he is.
Yep. There was a pretty big door of opportunity opened right there off France's first arrow out in the 7, but GB put one out there in the 8, so now we got a spider. That was dead freaking center right there. It's always fun to step up and see that middle part of the target get a little bit darker when you're looking down there. It's a good feeling to have. But yeah, still another close match. That looks like a 9 high to 10. There we go. GB's going to make a bit of a comeback right here, and they need it too. This is kind of life or death for them. What kind of advice would you give someone out there, either a cadet or a junior, that's really looking to try to get to this level and try to make a team to get to their first world championship for their country? What advice would you give them?
Train lots. I think they need to practice head-to-head matches if they can, even just at like club and local level, just so they get that experience. Maybe have somebody calling out the arrows, and yeah, shoot together, find some teammates, shoot together in a team, and just practice that kind of format as much as they can, so that they're not just shooting for the sake of it.
Yep.
They've actually got a specific goal for every session that they're shooting, or whether they're in the gym or working on something mental. They have to have a specific goal to work towards.
Yep, that's definitely a good start. I think for a lot of the youngsters out there that are looking to grow in the sport and make their first teams, I think it's pretty critical that they also really find someone that can give them the right advice to start.
Yeah.
You know, I know that there's a lot of youngsters that take advice from almost all directions because that's what you have available sometimes at the local clubs, but then if you're not getting everything the right way, you end up getting into a format like this where you realize pretty quick some of the maybe bad habits that you learned from the start that you really weren't aware of. So I think it's critical if you're really focused on getting to something like this as a goal, then invest in finding someone that you know is coaching that level of athlete already, so that you can get the base, get the foundation laid to where then it's in your hands to do what you were saying, and that's work at solidifying what you're doing the right way versus putting a bunch of time and energy into reinforcing it if it might not be right.
Yeah.
Get the confirmation that what you're doing is what you need to do and that your form is set up the correct way. And I think another thing that's important too is with juniors, it seems fairly common that they try to shoot too much weight.
Yeah.
And you need to be willing to grow with your equipment, and also be willing to shoot a lower weight if that's all you're able to handle, because you want to be able to have full control over it versus be fighting it, especially in a situation like this.
Yeah.
Because obviously if you can barely manage it at practice, then it's going to be uncontrollable once you're here and you get a little bit shaky or a little bit tight.
Yeah, and as soon as that pressure's on you, if you're struggling before, it's not going to work.
Absolutely. Well, I think we still have a match going here. I couldn't quite see that one arrow, but I'm believing that GB was able to take that end by 1 point. So we've got another end coming up here. Who is your archery idol? Let me throw that out there.
Probably Kibo Bay at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, just I've seen her shoot in like videos and at the Olympics and stuff, and just the way she shoots and her comeback this year, back onto the Korean team, and I read an article about her goals about winning. She wants to win the Olympics consecutively.
Yep.
And that was actually sort of, well, obviously I'd have to get to the Olympics first, but once I've got to that level, that would also be kind of a goal that I'd want to achieve.
Yep.
And yeah, just think she seems like a really, really nice person, and shoots amazingly. So. Oh
yeah, and the focus from that team over the years has been impeccable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like ice. Just a lot of times, even that team walking into a hotel together, it looks like something out of a movie.
Yeah.
All right, well, we've got 7 seconds here before getting ready to get into another sweet end here. If both of these teams can just eliminate that one bad arrow that seems to be popping up here out of their 6, then we could have a really high scoring match.
Yeah.
Fuzz low, we got a 9 low, 9 left. You can hear the wind picking up just a little bit, and that's what makes it tough out here. You have one second, you're fine, and as soon as you let that arrow go, you feel that wind that's already been downrange pushing on everything. We've got a 9 high, 9 low, so still tied up right here. 2 down for the end so far.
I think France just have to tie this set to take the match, so there's a lot of pressure on Great Britain at the moment.
High. All right, that was a big swing right there with 3 arrows left. They're going to have to shoot solid and hope for France to actually beat themselves at this point. Got a 9 low, 9. It's really coming down to it here. I think this next arrow is pretty much going to be a determining factor unless there's a major accident here. Got a 9. 9, there's 10. So looks like this match is almost over with here. A little bit left. He's pretty much got to put one in the center here. Being the anchor man, sometimes the funnest position to be in right there. You know, being able to just step up, and especially when you know you've got the match won too.
Yeah.
Just try to put one in the middle and walk away and move on to your next match. So, all right, well, if you could explain archery in 2 words, what would it be?
That's really difficult.
The best, my favorite, super fun. I'll just throw a few out there.
Super fun, yeah. Except for in wind.
That wasn't original though. They took mine. Yesterday it would have been windy, rainy.
Yeah.
Right.
Then it's the worst.
All right. Well, let's. We're gonna kind of check out here for a little bit and get set up for our next matches. But thanks so much for coming by, and thanks everybody for tuning in today to the Junior World Championships here in Yankton, South Dakota, with World Archery.